Tell you what, look at this. Would you just look at it? Who owns a 2017 Ford with nice shiny wheels but never cleans them? It bothers me enough. I'm gonna clean Drew's wheels for him. Just watch. You know, Drew, if you clean these more than once every 3 years, that you might not actually have ruined wheels. But you know what? We're gonna at least make it better than it was. I wonder if he'll even notice. Do you think he'll notice?
Good luck.
Oh man, they're forever ruined.
Yeah, I don't even know what you're doing.
You gotta clean them more than once every 3 years.
What a waste of time.
Alright guys, wanted to show you a few updates that we did here on this CNR cooler. This is a cooler that CNR makes for us. Has a really nice fan packaged in with it. Really robust cooler that does a really good job of you know, getting your transmission temps under control. Originally we used to have inlet and outlet on opposite ends, and so now we've made it a dual pass where you've got both of your in and out on the same side of it. Makes it a lot easier for running lines. We also had to move these tabs to where they're pointed in instead of out. Makes the packaging a little bit smaller, so that now you can easily fit this between your tank and your transfer case on a short bed truck configuration. So that packaged along with our cooler mount brackets. We've got these to where they're pretty universal. You can adjust these anywhere from straight up all the way to 90 degrees out, and you have adjustments every couple of degrees, so you have infinite adjustment there. And you're also able to mount these on your cooler this way or this way. So you can, you know, if you're mounting them in the bed of the truck and you want to go upright, or if you have a reason you want to put the thing crossways, tried to make this really versatile so you can mount your cooler almost anywhere in any direction you'd like to face it. This bracket is also really good for any other trans cooler that you may want to mount anywhere. I've tried it on 3 or 4 different coolers, and they seem to fit most coolers that I've gotten my hands on. So this comes with 2 cooler mounts, and then it also comes with all the mounting hardware. We've got a nice nut insert here that if you're putting it in a frame, you're able to do that, and we've got a little tool here that you can use to install that. So comes with all the hardware you need to either through bolt it in the bed, or you can use the nut certs in a frame or anywhere else that you'd like to put those.
All right, we have Ryan Holmes' 2005 manual truck here today. He recently had some stuff done to it, and he brought it here to have us dynoed, so I'll let him explain the setup on the truck, and we can go from there.
It's got a fleece intake lift pump, 60 over extra G injectors, 10 mil extra G pump, 67 tater bit, head studs, valve springs, push valves, and cold air intake.
Yeah, so very, very good, well-rounded setup. He daily drives the truck, so we're gonna make as much power as we can safely and as clean as we can. So I will flash a tune into it and go from there. So we made a few pulls on the truck. Everything in the data log looks excellent. It's making rail pressure, going full fuel. The only thing we've noticed is that the turbo is only making 38 PSI. So I'm getting it cooled down so that I can adjust the wastegate, and I'm going to shoot for the 50 to 55 PSI mark. Probably take a few adjustments, but I'll start on the low side and just work our way up and see how it goes from there. without making a tune adjustment, we only adjusted the wastegate. Went from 38 PSI to 45 PSI. We went from 540 horsepower to 600 horsepower. So 7 PSI was 60 horsepower. I want to try to get about 50 PSI, so I'm going to cool it back down and make another small adjustment and see if we can't hit that 50 PSI mark, and hopefully that'll put us mid 600 horsepower. Alright, so we are finished with Ryan's truck. Had to adjust the wastegate twice. We ended up making 53 PSI. So when he came in, he made 532 horsepower at 38 PSI, and he is leaving with 643 horsepower with making 53 PSI. So gained 15 PSI and 111 horsepower and 156 foot-pounds of torque. So it's about all we can squeeze out of it. I'm guessing if he didn't have 22.5 wheel semi wheels on it that are really heavy, we could probably squeeze a little bit more power out of it. I would imagine low 700s, but this is how he drives it every day, and so that's how he wanted it dynoed. So I will get him off the dyno and send him on his way.
Okay, when Larson was on the dyno, we were adjusting the wastegate, and it's really hard to show you guys what we do when we adjust the wastegate when it's on the truck, because you're laying underneath there and you can barely get 2 hands up in there really easy. So here on the bench, I'm going to show you how we adjust the wastegate on these HE351s. And it is important that you do it in small steps, because if you do too big of a step and you closes the wastegate too much and it overspeeds the turbo, and you've just created a little turbo bomb. So I'm going to show you guys what we do. We first start by taking the C-clip off here. Sometimes you can grab it with needle nose pliers, or if you've got a little pick like this, you can reach in here and grab this and it just goes flying. But you get what I mean. So you're pulling this C-clip off, and then this can pop this arm off of the wastegate arm. So if you look down here, this is how the wastegate actually works. As the more boost that goes into here, the further it blows this wastegate open, and the more drive pressure goes past the turbine wheel. And so when we're tightening the wastegate, we're putting more pressure on this to hold it shut longer. So what we do is we have to loosen this jam nut. With that jam nut loose, you can come in here and give this thing 2 turns. And generally, I mean, we see a little bit of a variation, but generally 2 turns is enough that can make up to 10 PSI of difference. It kind of depends on how close you're getting to tight. The tighter you're getting, the bigger difference 1 turn will make. If you're all the way loose, sometimes you need to go 4 turns. But generally always start on the conservative side. So now if you look, this arm no longer lines up with the pin because we tightened it. So what I'll do is I just grab this wastegate arm, because this is where boost pressure comes in here and blows this arm open. I'll pull this wastegate tube off, and I can put compressed air in here, and that grabs this thing, that extends this arm and pops that thing on. You can drop it down in there, tighten the jam nut, and put your C-clip back on, and you're back in business. So that is how you adjust the wastegate on an HE351. And doing it under a truck when it's 1300 degrees, it's not very fun. So that's why we generally put a fan on it, let the thing cool down for 30 minutes before we get in there and burn our fingers trying to get this. And this C-clip always tends to go flying, so it doesn't hurt to have a spare before you ever start. If it's something that you're doing it on a dirt floor, if it hits the ground, you're going to have a hard time finding it.